Welcome to the Muslim blog. If a person is talking about a particular topic, it must be because when persons were discussing any number of subjects, the issues were clear to some people and not others. But when we do talk about that, why couldn't a person who is part of one group say, when we decide to get serious, exactly, but if the person says, for example, when an individual is in any kind of situation, the issue is whether persons could defend themselves. In that sense, to me, defense has to do with any number of topics, though. If the thing is babbling, spewing, exactly, but what I ask the person is something very basic, though. What's the difference? If the thing is given its own turf, exactly, but if the person is talking about a Quetzalcoatl, or something like that, or we're talking about a meso topic, exactly, the issue is whether someone could defend themselves from that type of thing. If the person says defense has to do with any number of things that we know about a topic, then the person says either do what it says, exactly. When someone is in a particular topic, though, the person can understand it's something that has to be killed. Then there could be a group of people whose life's dedication has to be that. But in that sense, though, if the person is talking about nearly any topic, though, the issue is whether something like that is not definitive of every topic. Let's say someone is in a particular context. If the being is talking about a particular topic, the being is doing any number of subjects. The issue is where are all the people who are talking about the topic, though. But if the person says the topic is based on things that are not ascertainable to any number, but what I try to tell persons about a topic is something very basic, though. When an individual is in any kind of context, the issue is whether they can defend themselves from obvious topics that everyone knows. If the person says, though, the environment is a control environment, where the Lord has removed enchantment from the environment, where it's based on pure rational topics, exactly. In that sense, though, if the person says topics are like that, this situation could be, no, what I tell the human being is to take advantage, exactly. In that sense, though, if the person is talking about a particular topic, it has to do with any number of subjects that persons don't care about, though. If the individual says the topic is based on fear topics, the issue is whether a rational person is there to remind them of that, exactly. Get your house next to a volcano, for example, exactly. Tell me if that's not based on a rational conclusion, though. Like, if the person removes fear from reason, though, it has to do with fear by itself is something dictated, though. If someone says the issue of the day is not that, it has to do with us understanding topics, I would say exactly, but what I tell the human being is not to be sort of upset about a context like that. If someone is in a context where they don't have to deal with a demon with 10 snakes coming out of their head, I'm saying that's good, exactly. But if the person says, though, when they're in a particular context, that is literally what it is, it has to do with any number of subjects then. But the issue is the underlying reason, but it's threadbare, exactly. When a person is in a particular context, though, a thread is like that. When persons are in a particular context, we have to acknowledge that it's there. But the thread is about who's measuring the thread, though. And someone is exactly. When we look at a minute, it's about who's measuring the minute. But in that sense, though, if the person says this is a context that the Lord has preordained for this purpose, exactly. Where's the fear then? What I tell the human being about a context is something very basic, though. When they're in any kind of subject, I said give them hell, exactly. But when a person is in a particular topic, though, the issue is whether or not a person can finally talk about these topics in such a way as they're not afraid of any topic. What I tell the human being about fear is something very basic, though, okay? When we do look at a particular line of attack, it's whether the person can defend themselves both in person and from the other person, exactly. When a person says it's rational, I don't get my house next to a volcano because I fear the power of the Lord, exactly. But if the person insists on talking about the topic from a position of attacking the person can say, maybe you have a reason to fear, exactly. Part of the ingratitude is that. When you guys have an ingrate, it has a reason to fear, exactly. But when a person is a person of God, I'm going to heaven, I know where you're going, exactly. But what I tell the person is something very basic, though. These type of arguments are based on whether the person can feel fear about a topic. What does a believer have to fear about any subject? And I told them that. If a person is in a particular topic, it has to do with basic topics like that. Couldn't someone instill fear in the person? Exactly. But it's based on whether the person understands, though. A person can defend themselves from that topic by merely stating the obvious. I see the beauty of the volcano because I see the power of the Lord. I won't get my house next to it because I fear the Lord, correct? In that sense, though, guess what? The Lord tell me to, like, raise hell with you, exactly. In that sense, though, if a person is in a particular context, the ingrate has everything to fear, exactly. Now, in that sense, what I tell persons about a topic is something very basic, though. What believer should fear any ingrate, though? When a person is in a particular topic, it's ingratitude by itself, exactly. In that sense, though, when a person is talking about nearly any topic, it has to do with rational discourse. When a person understands, obviously I can't do that, it has to do with basic topics that I know. When a person is in any kind of situation, a person need not do that. A person can say, guess what? The Lord gave me any number of topics, exactly. In that sense, though, when a person is being attacked from that perspective, it has to do with them reminding them of the fact, exactly. If the person thinks they're going to go 1-for-1 on God, exactly. But what I show persons about defending themselves from every topic is that if a person is in a particular topic, it has to do with how they can defend themselves from the fear topic. It's a legitimate topic, though. When a person is talking about that topic of fear, though, it has to do with whether the human being understands that fear is something that is intrinsic to a being that knows what it is, though. When a person, exactly, but when a person talks about the topic, a believer talks about something completely different, though. A believer talks about any number of topics, but in that sense, though, if the person is a false being altogether, when a person talks about nearly any topic, the issue is whether we fear a false being. What I show persons about a false being is something very basic, though. When a person is in any kind of context, the being by itself can talk about topics that no one cares about. In that sense, though, if the believer ever feared the devil, let me know. The issue has to do with whether persons understand, though, that fear is based on whether the person is situated first in their own topic. In that sense, though, when a person is at that level, it must have to do with facts that we know about the individual, though. But if the person is in a different level, it has to do with topics that we know about that person. In that sense, though, what I do tell the human being is something very basic, though. When someone is in any kind of context, what I told you is to give the disbeliever hell, exactly. In that sense, if a person is trying to attack a person from a position of disbelief, it has to do with them trying to instill fear about the individual and that kind of thing. What I tell persons about legitimate topics is that if the individual has been attacking a person, can we see the evidence exactly? In that sense, though, if the person no longer fears a topic, it must be for any number of obvious reasons. But if the individual is saying the topic by itself is any number of subjects, in that sense, what I point people to do is something very obvious. When we look at a person who is talking about a particular topic in such a way as to make it more attractive to persons to disbelieve or to go any number of topics, the person by itself is the issue. We can say the topic, but the opportunity of the person is the issue. When a person is talking about nearly any topic, though, it's whether we want to ignore the elephant in the room and talk about its secretions. Its secretions are a problem, exactly. But what we talk about at some point is the elephant itself. If the person says, I'm tired of the secretion of the elephant, I'm tired of its any number of topics, what I say is, what about the elephant, exactly? Maybe it shouldn't be here, exactly. In that sense, though, what I try to tell persons about persons who do any number of these topics is to look at the essential person, exactly. What is a celebrity? Exactly. I don't care about its topics. I care about what it is, though. When we look at a particular topic, if it talks about any number of subjects, who cares about that? When we look at the intention of the person, who cares about that? It has to do with whether it's endeavoring, exactly. Its very topic is based on things we all know about the subject. Now, who is going to interject at this point? Are we going to say that we can't appreciate any number of things? Exactly, but when we look at a particular topic, the issue is whether the purpose of the celebrity is something that we know, though. When will we begin to focus on the person? When we look at the person itself, the person tells a person to ignore any number of topics. In that sense, though, if the person says the person is not the issue, I wouldn't agree with that. It's saying the elephant is not the problem. When a person is in a particular topic, though, it has to do with whether persons care about that, though. If persons want to complain about its secretions, they can. What I tell rational persons is to talk about the elephant itself. What I try to tell you guys about a topic is that it has to do with the thing is first. In that sense, though, if a person wants to talk about different topics, they can. But in that sense, someone can be against Hollywood for that reason. It's that simple. I hate Hollywood for that reason. If they talk about topics, who cares about that? This topic, the person shall... No. I hate it for that reason. It's a fucking elephant. Thank you. In that sense, in the next one, we'll talk about that.